Hi, and welcome along to our next class. In this module, we're going to be looking at monetizing your podcast. So firstly, we're going to look at sponsorships. Now, the best way to go about approaching sponsorship deals is to think about who your audience will be most valuable to. Sponsors will pay good money if they can reach the right type of people. Brands are always looking to partner with the best content creators. So it's a no-brainer to try and form some sort of sponsorship deal or partnership with a brand that's going to be relevant to your audience. And the more niche your audience is, the more willing brands will be to part with their money in order to connect with your listeners. Now, when it comes to sponsorship deals, the actual relationship you have with a certain brand and how you deliver their sponsored messages to your audience can really vary. So, as we've stated, the more you understand your audience, the more revenue you're probably going to be able to generate. But the most common format that podcasters and brands use for their sponsorship deals is a pre-roll advert at the beginning of your podcast. Now, more often than not, these are done in a quite informal way, where it's the podcaster just talking about the brand's service or product. It's done quite informally in a conversational manner. So, how do you go about getting sponsorship deals? Well, there's no really set way of doing this. It depends on who your audience is and the number of people that listen to your podcast. Sponsors will pay for either the number of plays on your show or the number of customers that you refer to them. But, as I mentioned on the previous slide, it's incredibly important to find sponsors that offer products and services that are going to be relevant to your audience. This way, you and your sponsor will make more money in the long run. But don't kid yourself in thinking that sponsors will be approaching you. Unless you're one of the top podcasters already, that's not going to be happening. So you need to get out there and pitch your podcast to them. They'll be interested first and foremost in your show's content and your listener numbers. So be upfront and honest about this. And most importantly, seek out sponsors that align with your podcast's niche. So let's say, for example, you have a podcast which focuses on entrepreneurs. If this is the case, then an obvious avenue to go down would be to look at services or tools that will appeal to this demographic. But don't be scared about going out there and getting your podcast in front of the people you want to sponsor your show. Ultimately, brands are always looking to connect with potential customers, and your podcast could be the avenue for them to do that. And then finally, once you've found the correct sponsors for your podcast, you can work with them to iron out the details of the message, how long it will be, how many times it's mentioned during your podcast, and most importantly, your pricing. So next, we're going to look at affiliate programs. Now, affiliate programs are nothing new. They've been around since people first started making money on the internet. But they can be a fantastic avenue for generating additional income for your podcast. Firstly, ask yourself, what is it that your customer is looking for? What is it that they want? Just like sponsorships, you need to understand your audience in order to present them with products or services that they might want to buy. Your return, i.e. the amount of money that you're going to earn, will be based on the number of purchases your listeners make. And the more people you funnel into an affiliate program, the more money you're going to be able to take out of it. But how does an affiliate program work? Well, it functions in pretty much the same way that a sponsorship deal does. But rather than having to pitch your podcast to get a deal in place, you can go out there and sign up to an affiliate program today and start referring available products to your audience straight away. So whilst it might take time to build your audience in order to get a sponsorship deal in place, you can start working with affiliate programs from your very first podcast. It's very much a common practice amongst successful podcasters to promote affiliate links to products on platforms like Amazon that they've been discussing during the course of the podcast. And some of the world's top podcasters say that affiliate programs are their most lucrative revenue streams. So where can I find affiliate programs? Well, in this day and age, most businesses, brands and retailers that you can think of are probably going to have an affiliate program. They'll provide you with unique links and tracking IDs so that you'll know how many people have purchased via your podcast. You just provide the links on your website or in the description of your podcast if you're hosting on a platform like SoundCloud. And as I mentioned, there's a whole host of businesses out there that offer affiliate programs. So the sky really is the limit, but it's up to you to pick the most relevant products for your podcast's content. One of the most easiest affiliate programs to get started with is obviously Amazon's. And the plus side to that is no matter what demographic or niche you're pitching your podcast to, they're probably going to have products that are going to be right for that audience. So if you're serious about making money for your podcast, go and set yourself up on an affiliate program today. And next, we're going to look at donations. Now, there's absolutely no shame in asking your listeners to donate to your podcast. It's just a matter of how you pitch it. Now, in most cases, the top podcasters pitch it almost as if the listeners are making an investment in the podcast. And that's actually a really clever approach because it really helps your listener develop a strong bond with you as a podcaster. If you want to quickly set up your podcast so it can take donations, then one of the easiest ways to go about this is to actually create yourself a PayPal account. PayPal makes it really easy to set up buttons that you can then add to your site to take donations. You can even set specific amounts that your customers can donate. So that actually takes a lot of the hard work out of it for them, and they can literally say, yes, have $10, have $20, have $50. So it's a fantastic option if you just want to get started straight away with this. However, if you're looking for a slightly more professional service, then you could take a look at something like Patreon. Patreon is essentially a donations platform that's incredibly easy to use, and it's built specifically for content creators. So if you're a podcaster, it's going to be perfect for you. You can use it in very much the same way that you'd use PayPal donations, but one of the additional things that Patreon allows you to do is really easily set up subscription payments. So if you wanted to offer a subscription to your listeners, let's say additional exclusive content that only paying subscribers get access to, then Patreon will allow you to do this in a really easy way. Now, next, we're going to look at merchandising. One of our best recommendations for any podcaster out there is to create and sell your own custom branded merchandising. This can be anything: t-shirts, hoodies, caps, pens, stickers. There really isn't a limit to the amount of stuff you could sell. The great thing about merch is it's relatively cheap and easy to do, so it doesn't involve a lot of investment from the off. And in addition to this, it helps get your podcast name out there. And that kind of word of mouth promotion from your listeners to other potential listeners is one of the best ways to grow your audience. So one thing it's probably worth mentioning in terms of merchandising is to make sure you get your merch into the hands of your most influential listeners. These are the people that have large followings and they're highly engaged on social media, because these people are going to help bring more visibility to your podcast. One of the things you should be really aiming to do with your audience is to build a relationship with them. So where can I get merchandise? Well, there's actually a lot of platforms out there that will make this really easy for you. In fact, you don't even have to outlay much cost to get started. So, for example, let's look at Merchify, Bands on a Budget, and Awesome Merchandise. All three of these platforms allow you to design your own products like t-shirts and badges, but without the need to outlay any costs. So these are definitely worth checking out. You just essentially create your designs, upload them, select which products you want the designs to go onto, and then you can start selling straight away. Then when you've made a certain amount of sales, these platforms then take a cut of your profit. So it's win-win for both of you. Now, if your merch line really takes off and becomes a super profitable avenue for your podcast, then obviously you can look at sourcing your own merch, but until then, these sites are really the way to get started. So let's take a moment to summarize this module. Firstly, identify sponsors that are really going to resonate with your niche. The more relevant your sponsor's message is to your listeners, the more likely you are to drive significant revenue for your podcast. Secondly, look at affiliate programs to generate revenue until you have a large enough audience in order to get a decent sponsorship deal for your podcast. As I mentioned throughout this module, some of the most popular podcasters in the world use this, and they do drive significant revenue for their podcasts through their affiliate programs. Thirdly, make it easy for your listeners to donate money to your podcast. And lastly, use merchandising to create brand awareness and grow revenue. Now, there's one common theme that I think runs throughout all of these potential revenue sources, and that's about building a strong relationship with your listener. If you want them to donate, then pitch it as an investment. And the stronger your relationship is with your listener, the more likely they are to want to donate money and make an investment in your podcast. And likewise, using merchandise also plays into this. It helps people feel like they have a direct relationship with you and your brand. And if your listeners feel like they have that relationship with you and they see you as an authority, then they're going to take your recommendations when you pitch them different products via an affiliate program. And that same logic applies to any sponsorship deals you may then be able to get set up.